Olá, bom dia. Aqui está o Krix a falar de Portugal e ali a Jenny a falar de Inglaterra e nós estamos a falar hoje de ISE 2024. Yes, Jenny.
Yes.
I had
Exactly.
to. We just spent a week in Spain. We had to start with some Spanish or some Portuguese in my case. Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Chris. That's Jenny. We are Midwich Live. We are doing our thing from different parts of the world. This time, we're actually in the same time zone. I am sitting currently in Portugal, and Jenny is over in the UK holding down the fort, both working, both doing our thing, and both recovering from a very successful and a very fun trip to ISE. I hope we all, for those that went, got home safely, safe travels, done all that sort of stuff. And now that we're back, we need to kind of throw a little party again because we didn't party enough there after hours and find out what we found, what we discovered, what we thought. Jenny, how was your Barcelona trip?
It went so fast.
It did.
So we've done this deliberately, haven't we? So the idea was last year we got back from the show. We spent 2 weeks like brainstorming what should we talk about were the best things that we saw. We made sure that we'd gone and spoken to people in our various businesses. You know, was there anything we missed? Let's be honest, we probably got a little influenced by press and marketing as well and what other people were putting out. And then we came and we did a show. This year we decided, no, some of the best is like you and I finally saying, what did you see? What did you see? And then seeing those reactions. So yes, we are entirely unscripted. I think I'm supposed to say we're streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all of the Midwich socials. Yes. And as always, please comment. On this occasion, we really, really do want you to, because you've possibly seen stuff that we didn't see. That show is too big to get around everything now. You come home with this sort of FOMO of fear of what I missed. Like,
there's 3 or 4 halls that I've never been to in 2 years. I know they're there. I just don't know where they are, and I've never walked into it. And I did mention earlier on X or on Twitter, if you did come on the show and you did drop a like or a mention or a follow or something like Mr. Tom Milner has, you will get a mention on here. Mr. Tom Milner was at DSE. I saw him there too, but was at ISE as well. But my man over there spends a lot of time over in the digital signage area, which I did get to hang out and go for a little bit and see some cool companies like Now Signage Live and all this other stuff that's going over there, Bluefin, and the people, my buddy Noel's company. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about what we need to chat about because I love working out our ideas, and they never come out perfect. Our mind mapping is not really a map, and it's definitely mindful. No, we're definitely not mindful. Let's do this. If you haven't been, or if you haven't gone to ISE, I encourage you all to take a look at the possibility of attending if you can, if your employer lets it, obviously, if you need to go, simply for the sheer size, right? It is a very different experience than InfoComm. As somebody who experienced both and almost just recently going back to ISE after a long break from it being in Amsterdam, it is a definite different show. It's a longer show. It's 4 days. So it's 4 days to try to cover all these halls, and we still have our responsibilities to booth duty. Jenny, not as much as I do. I'm there. We had a very successful showing with AV On Air. If you did not see the AV On Air studio, it was quite impressive. And it's just going to forewarn the people. If we put together a podcast station and we invite you guys, we're not just going to give you a microphone and a USB mixer anymore. We had to level it up. We knew the competition was coming, right? As some people that, I would like to say that, when we first took Basecamp, which was the original idea, to InfoComm many years ago, it was a very simple idea, give a place for people to kind of get their show floor experience out. This year, Midwich and the Midwich group leveled up a whole new level. 3-camera shoot, producers, editing being done on the fly, all the stuff. You don't even have to bring your computer anymore. Super proud of the work that went in there from Karen and the whole team at the Midwich marketing side, and Malia and everybody that came together. I know Jenny has some comments on how that turned into like a really cool experience, watching all these different companies with all these different personalities, with all these different languages interact.
It was great. It's there's not a lot that we do. We work together, but on quite specific areas, the people that look after this technology category in all of the different countries and so on. But this was everyone from all different departments had, a reason to be interested and invested in the show, and just watching them all come together. And also there was no logic. It was about who's the right person for the job, you know. So a lot of people assume that we would have, you know, stand design headed up by one of our Spanish team. No, Eleanor is in charge of that, and she's from Italy, and it's great. And then all the branding is coming out of the Middle Eastern team. It's really nice. It's part of, well, I think it's probably my favorite thing about working for Midwich is moments like that.
Yeah.
So hi, Ifat. Yes, I remember. This is a little bit unfair, actually. So before we get into the tech, I'm not very good at tweeting. I don't know why. I get confused. You wouldn't believe how many times I start to type something and I'm like, oh, I have something to say. And then it just all gets too stressful about, you know, did I get that right? Have I pressed the right button? How do you get a picture in it? I'm not really sure. You know, I'm still waiting for social media to catch on, if I'm honest. When it really takes off, I'll get more involved.
The irony is that Jenny is actually stuck in a massive tweet storm right now going on.
Welcome
to X, Louis, and Shakiba. Welcome to the Twitter world or the X world. And I just recently taught Jenny that the three little dots above her name will actually mute the conversation. And we'll
turns out you can turn it down. I didn't know this. I've had a really stressful few days. Okay. Awesome. I want to throw out a little competition, as we know we've got a bunch of people listening and interacting. This isn't my trick question, by the way, but I'll throw it out there and I'll come back to it in a moment. So I'm not taking ownership of this. This is something that Peter Hansen from Avixa did to a group of us at the show last week. Mm-hmm. So please do comment if you believe you know what GPT stands for. I'll just throw that one out there and leave it and see who gets it correct. Shall we?
Chat GPT?
Well, I said GPT.
Okay.
You said chat.
And it's Peter Hansen, so he's a financial.
He's the economist.
This is going to throw me off because he talks fancy numbers and stuff, and I don't know.
Fancy numbers and trends. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see if anyone can get it right. So what does GPT stand for? Okay. Shall we go? Shall we talk ISE?
Should we talk ISE? Do we want to talk the social side of ISE, or are we going to get right down to the nitty gritty?
I reckon, should we do some overarching trends that were present everywhere?
Sure. Let's do this.
Well, I'm going to go with my favorite, sustainability.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay. My observation. Last year's ISE, people were really shouting about this. It was like, who can be the loudest? You know, front and center of the stands. This is our sustainability commitment and messaging, albeit from maybe 5 to 10 of the big players' booths. This year, you had to look a little bit harder for it, but it was there. But it wasn't a sort of loud and proud statement. There was, you know, other stuff took the shop front window, shall we say. Yet the advancements were really good. So non-tech related, but I thought this was interesting and maybe a little bit poached from SharpNEC. But Google had made their stand from, I think the flooring was recycled rubber. I think we've got I took a picture of what I thought was cardboard. And it was, there we go. This is reboard. So it's made from 100% recycled fibers. And then they print onto that. And they did the same thing as SharpNEC did the year before. So anything that wasn't recyclable or made from recycled product that made up their booth, they were donating to other venues and so on for afterwards. So this is catching on now. It's not just about the tech that we're selling or what people are doing in their operations. We're building booths out of cardboard. And it's great. I love it. So then Vestel. I don't think we sell Vestel anywhere in the group, but they had a great message. So their new series, so like the next generation of SKUs are eco displays, and they've managed to reduce the power usage by I think circa 80% on a 55-inch 500 nit screen. Brilliant. That's what we want to see. There is Samsung, LG, Philips, loads of people had great stories to tell. As always, there was a clear winner. SharpNEC once again. So we had hints of the e-ink displays. I think we've got a picture, Kerry, of the like pinky purpley one that was actually on the stand.
Pinky purple.
There you go. So this is really clever, and I think what people maybe don't necessarily, it's basically like Kindle technology, or I like to say like an Etch-a-Sketch. The energy is only required when you change the content, and then once it's up, you've basically got a powerless requirement from that display until the content needs to change again. So if your content is static, this is ideal. Information boards, etc. Now, this wasn't really new. I think I saw this at Infocom. I've seen it a few times now. I get very excited about it. And there were a couple of other companies showcasing similar. What nobody else had, though, which Graham showed me in their like locker room storage part of their stand, which I have got a picture.
Secret.
Sorry, Graham.
Top secret.
So this was an A2 paper-sized e-ink display, which we've got a picture of, that's got solar panel battery at the top, and there's the top half of Graham's face. So this is pretty cool, and I don't think there's anything else that could say it is entirely self-powering, green energy, and digital. So yeah, kudos to SharpNEC on this one. Another thing that was really interesting, I don't know, I think we do have a video of this one. This was the 2 small LED tiles or panel example, and then there was a like energy wattage requirements shown on the side. So this was a constant running demo of LED in comparison. And actually the product to product comparison, I wasn't, we know that there are products that use less energy than others.
Yes.
However, there's a section of it where the content on the 2 LEDs turns white. And regardless of the fact that one is drawing far more power than the other, watching the spike, and we've talked about this on this show before, the importance of avoiding block white content on LED because of the power draw, they both shoot up. And it was just a perfect example that I'm going to draw on quite a lot now moving forward of look at the difference, look at the difference you can make as a content creator or provider. So all in all, I'm happy. There was a good showing of genuine improvement and a commitment from lots of people talking about the CSRD reporting directive, which comes into place in the EU for some companies from now, actually, and then a mass amount of companies fall in scope from next year. And whilst a lot of the manufacturers are probably thinking, well, I'm not based in the EU, so it doesn't affect me, it really does. So how you report for the CSRD, you report on your own activity and your own logistics and your own operations and any products that you make. But then you have to report on your sort of upstream as well. So these integrators and end users based in the EU, they're not going to work with you if you negatively impact their sustainability assessment. And even though you're nothing to do with their company, you're just selling to them, it matters. And it's going to matter probably more in future years when they need to show improvement year on year for their CSRD. There comes a point where there's only so much you can do yourself. And then you're reliant on other people doing it with you, So
take notice, American companies, American manufacturers, that is going to come to you.
I'm looking at you, USA.
We're looking at you.
So I think it was good. Lots of people said to me, oh, it doesn't feel like anyone's shouting about sustainability. And I said, then you're not looking hard enough. It's definitely
Hey,
there.
listen, even our stand had some great green features to it with some of the unpainted stuff and some of the rawness of it. I was like, wait a minute, is that sustainability in use right here in front of us for our eyes to see? Yes.
Yeah.
And then checking in with Karen and Eleanor, that was part of the plan. So kudos to Midwich. Obviously who we work for, but the little details there stood out even for a dumb American hanging over, learning about the sustainability stuff. Yeah. And so cool. I'm glad to see that sustainability made the list.
Yep.
And I just thought I was looking at with you. And meanwhile, you're like, got an evil second motive of like, let me find out about sustainability, twiddling your thumbs.
So we've had a couple of answers to my question. I'm really pleased because you got it wrong. And just don't feel bad, Graham. And don't feel bad, whoever's tweeting on behalf of DVS and said that they Googled it. So Dave, who are you? So I would have done the same, and I'm so glad I didn't put my hand up and answer this question in the session that I was in, because I was going to say generative pre-trained transformer, which is what it stands for in the case of Chat GPT. However, GPT also stands for general purpose technology. And did you know there have been 4 general purpose technologies identified over our known history and lifetimes? The first was steam engines, which progressed to become now, electric trains, diesel.
Yes.
But that, so steam engines started a general purpose technology trend in terms of transport. The second was electricity. The third, internet, the World Wide Web. And they have recently identified a 4th, which meets the criteria, which is AI. So there you go. I stole it. It's not mine, but you fell for it like I did. So general purpose technology, we have one. So it doesn't really matter whether you think it's going to take off or not. Identifying it as a GPT moving forward, one of only 4 that have been recognized as technology game changers at this level, that is huge. So
This is a segue.
This is a segue. So naturally, my second biggest trend, AI. Everyone saw this coming, whether there was any at the show or not. We would have talked about it, wouldn't we?
Sure.
So I saw 3. Yeah, let's go with 3 things, which I thought were really good examples of AI. And I also had an epiphany moment. So
me too.
Huddly, I don't know if anybody else went to go look at this, but Huddly were doing on the hour demonstrations of Crew, which we talked about last year because they showed it in its first version last year. It's an AI director basically that can choose different camera angles from single or multi cameras, and frame and zoom in. So stuff that we sort of already do, but using automation with other products. This is directed by AI. And last year they showed it working in a very basic form. And then they also had like a AI directed video that the engine had created. So no human intervention. I am going to call out Huddly here though. Hall 8. I don't know if anyone else found it. It is just shy of 3,000 steps to go from the Midwich booth to Hall 8 and Huddly's demo
in Madrid.
Back. That's not okay.
No,
that's too far to make people walk. But when I got there, they gave me a Diet Coke, so that was nice. And I did sit down and I watched a demonstration. Now, this product has moved on significantly, and I'll loop back to that as my epiphany moment. So last year they showed us this basic look. AI is picking what's the best angle. Great. This year there's 2 modes to run the solution in. One is speaker mode. I'll be honest, we already sort of have this through automation. There's other product, maybe it's a bit clunkier, maybe it's not as smooth, but fundamentally what we had before works, and AI does it the same, maybe with small improvements. But they now have this conversational mode. And it was explained to me that what I was about to see, I would be the remote viewer and there would be 2 or 3 people working quite relaxed, collaboratively in a space. And it would show me an angle that made me feel more like I was in the room. And oh my goodness, it really worked. So instead of just focusing on the person that was speaking, it panned to other people that it expected a reaction from, depending on what was being said by the main speaker. Then it would periodically zoom out to full room. So if it knew that it was time for a contextual view of the full space, or again, a question had been posed and it wasn't sure who was going to answer it, we got this full room view. And I heard them describe this and I thought, that's no good. I want to see the person that's speaking. And then when I watched it, it felt comfortable. That's the perfect word. I felt really comfortable. I felt like I knew what was going on in the whole room, whereas normally as a remote viewer, I wouldn't No, unless we just had a single wide field of view camera. It was really in tune. It turned at the right time that I would turn if I'd have been in that room to go, oh, I wonder what Joe Bloggs thinks of this, or I wonder what this person thinks of this. So ultimately, I was really impressed. But it also highlighted that as we adopt AI, it's not SKUs that are going to change. So we're not going to see a product one year and then come back and see a new version of that product or an upgraded version of that product the next year, because we don't need to do that anymore. If it's driven by AI, it's continuously getting better, and it's going to get better once it's in your environment or application as well. That's the key. Right now, AI is doing stuff that we probably could have already achieved without using it. However, products that don't use it get installed and they perform the same, and then eventually they start to deteriorate, so they tail off. We have the opposite with anything with an AI engine, and with Huddly it's great because it's not bouncing up to the cloud. It's on the camera itself.
Yeah.
So security risk is low, etc. So that was good, and that's the key for me with AI: continuous improvement from the same product after day one of putting it in. I also I had a look at Seersvision, which we've talked about on this show before. So that's the speaker tracking that's AI driven, from QSys, very good. And Signagelive, get a shout out from me here. So they showcased we've had this before. So targeted content based on the demographic or the person or an identifier that you see. What we haven't had before is then real-time analysis of the viewing that they get from that. So, okay, I've seen a 30-year-old female and I've changed my content to what I believe is right for that demographic accordingly. However, after a week, I'm not grasping those females' attention. Actually, it's not working. Let me trial something else. Ooh, that stopped them. They stopped and looked at it for longer. And again, that continuous improvement. So whilst we had it with like AdMobilize and some of these other third-party companies, that the feedback and the response wasn't there without AI. So they were my three. And I think you saw something too, Chris.
Yes, I did. So I got to hang out a little bit with the CEO of Aurora. The booth was kind of close, and I know Paul Harris for a bunch of years. He explained to me that one of the products, and it's obviously not a product that we carry, but one of his touch panels that he released last year at InfoComm, the React panel, it's a little 4-inch touch panel, kind of works like a conferencing system of old, right? It can do push to talk, it can do control. It has LED lighting, so you can see if somebody's talking, if it's muting. It does a lot of cool things, Bluetooth audio, and that was first generation. Next generation, what he explained to me was the release was that they are adding AI to the programming. So something as complicated as fixing a touch panel is now as easy as going to like a ChatGPT and having it redone.
Yeah.
Puts programmers on notice, obviously, but you're doing some simple coding. I'm assuming you can get further and further, and the more you use it, obviously it's AI, it will understand better and become better, stronger, faster. My God, John Connor and the whole Terminator thing just keeps coming back to me at this moment. I'm waiting for Skynet to activate. But the whole AI thing in that process for AV-minded people, right? The examples you showed us was signage, right? Signage is obviously there's that definite, like, let's look at the data real quick and let's change the images. Perfect usage. In AV, something that can make a technician or an engineer's job easy is AI. And that panel is definitely, if it's not going to be the change that you need, it's going to at least spark change in people and how they are going to change programming going further. Yeah. So that was very interesting and a very interesting product. Like I said, you guys have to take a look at it for yourselves. Jenny and I will take a look at the product as well. And we have to do our own evaluation, but take a look at what they're doing. That's interesting. The one thing that I have about AI that is kind of what you were going at, and everybody was worried. There was many discussions on AV and the AM, many discussions about how AI was going to take our work away.
Yeah.
I don't know about AV in particular. Or, a speaker still can't hang itself.
No, but the system design and stuff. Yeah.
But what became utterly apparent in one conversation with Blaine Brown from Diversified, who has done a little side gigs of playing with AI art, is that content creation in the world of AI is not only here, it's 10 days old already.
Yeah.
It is happening. Content creators, if you are not on your game, the AI is going to absolutely take over that. And
But
that was
who
probably
owns it? That's my biggest question. Who owns it? If
There's
it's
all
generated by
sorts.
AI,
It's
is
out
it
there
the
looking.
person that put the generative input, or is it the AI engine that created it?
What
like
I
chicken and
believe
egg.
is going to happen is that they are basically, an AI is going to become the new stock photo of the world. And it's just going to become like image stock of art. All the stuff that you saw at Infocom, not at Infocom, at ISE, a lot of it was generated by AI. So you need to understand that as a business, yes, you can put up the signs. That's great. But the content, which is something that we've always said, you know, our signage is only as good as the content that's on it, how much it's going to use. Just understand that's where AI absolutely fits in today, and it's already there. So have those conversations with your folks. There is no reason why good content is not up on those screens for the people that are doing digital signage. But that was a light bulb moment for me with AI when I realized that the artists and creators that are doing this sort of stuff, that's not something we talk about in our world, right? We always just go to them. They're like a side hustle for us, right? Oh, we'll just get Bob, who does content for
graphics. Bob.
Bob is now replaced by AI or Al or whatever you want.
Graphics bot.
Yeah, HAL 2000. Was that the thing on Space Odyssey? Whatever the robot. If you could tell me who that was, folks, please drop that into the comments. We do have people out there. Patty saying thank you, welcome, Patty. If at dropping some great stuff. Lewis out there with the long, serious walk to 8. If there's anybody who put more miles on his shoes at this show, it was Louis Robinson. He spent more time running up and down those aisles with a microphone in hand, getting to get all the information you guys need. And by the way, after this show, and if it's not on there now, keep watching what's up on Midwich YouTube channel. That's where you'll find everything that Louis has been recording throughout that week being dropped on there right now. And his shoes will be auctioned off for charity because there's no sole at the bottom of it. So. And speaking of charities, since we're at it, and we're
soul out of Louis.
That's it. He has no soul. That's it. He's soulless. Since we're talking about charity, I do want to highlight one charity that's out there right now. That is our friend Shakiba is going to be running the London Marathon. So if you know Shakiba and the things that she's doing, please check out what she's got over on LinkedIn. She's looking for some assistance in getting sponsorship to do the London Marathon for a charity. So it's a charity run. If you folks want to help out, that's a good way to start. Look up what Shakiba is doing over there. Graham, thanks for checking in and giving us the wrong answer. And DVS, as always.
I needed a wrong answer, though. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. Would it? So, yeah.
No, but you know what? No. Graham's great for a lot of things. Even giving us the wrong answer. That's fine. Appreciate it, Graham. You know, I love you, man. You're awesome. Anyway, so what do we got next? You got AI.
Well, speaking of graphics, yes. You've accidentally, perfectly segued into the next one. So I guess we'd call this immersive, experiential, but ultimately, the display guys brought their A game.
Let's go. I agree 100%.
So could we just, though, throw this out to people? Because maybe this is just a British thing. But Epson. Opening an umbrella indoors here is bad luck.
That is in America.
So surely that came up, no? Like, I don't know. I thought it was very impressive. It was beautifully warped and, you know, very nice, very cool. But I did not stand underneath it because you could get sort of quite close just because, I don't know, it felt wrong. I
didn't get the umbrella. I understood maybe that it was kind of a warping, and I tried to figure out what they were doing. I guess they just took a warp screen and added a handle to it to turn it into an umbrella, but I didn't understand the theme.
No. Well, mine was mostly, you know, the umbrella was, I agree if the umbrella was beautiful, but I saw it, instantly thought of bad luck, wished that they'd mapped onto a closed umbrella and backed away. So we'll just park that one. Perhaps in some cultures, it's not bad luck. Be interesting to know that, actually, if anyone wants to tell me.
So do we want to start with the what? Because you started with the umbrella question. I have one display manufacturer that did something that I was just like, but everybody else was enamored.
Okay, go on.
LG's moving tile.
Did you not like it?
Do you know where I'm from? In a couple of years ago, Coca-Cola put a moving, 3D display in Times Square.
Yeah.
I had yet to see it work because of the elements and the moving parts and the servos. Wow. It was always stuck. To see it again here, it was quite beautiful. I mean, they did a beautiful job in a controlled environment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I saw that taken to the New York City streets, hung 100 feet in the air, and do the waving thing, which was cool. But yet every content creator said, you can do that using
So LG shot their own footage of the kinetic. It was called a kinetic LED wall.
Yes.
And I reached out to them. Kerry reached out to them earlier actually to say, can we use your video because it's better than anything we captured?
Yeah.
I think we've got that. So
let's go.
Shall
for
we
it.
run it? Because
Yes.
some people maybe didn't go.
Want to convey your message in a powerful and memorable way that grabs people's attention? Well then, check out LG's LED signage and various solutions. Take a look at this LED display with a pixel pitch of 1.9 millimeters, featuring kinetic technology, a large-scale display system that can move and transform its physical shape in sync with customized media art content. It boasts an impressive width of 3.5 meters and a height exceeding 6 meters. As you can see, it captures attention with its enormous size, vibrant color expression, lifelike moving effects, and dynamic sound, even in bustling crowds. Even the piano keys are dancing to the rhythm of the kinetic movement, truly stimulating all the senses. This visually striking kinetic structure, combined with LG LED's outstanding picture quality, effortlessly communicates messages in various settings like busy malls, large auditoriums, or outdoor spaces, captivating your audience with its immersive appeal and engaging delivery. Since you can customize its size to fit various spaces, the three-dimensional effect and dynamic movement will make this product a highly promising advertising medium. The unique and immersive experience results from the combination of kinetic elements, engaging content, and dynamic sound. This is all possible with LG's integrated solution. Paint your days on this magical canvas where anything you imagine can come to life.
Now, let me go back and preface that the previous technology was not as good as this one. This one did stand out. It was an eye-opener. It was a catchy thing. I can see this being in lobbies of the future. Hopefully not with waterfalls, guys. We're done with the waterfall images. Get some cool content like they had on that. The 3D Connect, the kinetic part of it is pretty wild.
Yeah.
There's some cool
It's
things.
very smooth as well.
Yes,
Like
very
there's
smooth,
nothing jerky about it. Yeah.
And I think my pain point on the Coca-Cola sign that I saw was that it was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It just wasn't ready for showtime,
Yes.
at least
Yeah.
for the elements of New York City in the winter. So there's a lot of different things that will be that'll be highlighted in the display things. By the way, we do have Chris Southern joined us and gave us Space Odyssey. How would be the right one? Thank you, sir. Again,
And he thinks that umbrellas indoors are bad luck as well.
see, there you go. But he's also the best dressed guy in ISE typically, in most situations with a three-piece suit. We also have to say hi to Adam Florio, former guest of the show. He was on here. His products are really nice as well. Stop by Elemental and see what he's doing with the cool little pop-up screens that come up, all bespoke type stuff. That's awesome. I love a good touch display, the screen thing that can disappear. like clean lines, simple lines. Let's remove clutter. So thank you, Adam, for stopping by and saying hi. But yes, if that does not need any more bad luck. I guess maybe we'll talk about the dark side of ISE at some point.
So right, okay. So I had, and this is a rumor. I can't even remember who. I was stood behind someone, I think, when this got said, of like, oh, apparently, a wall, the kinetic LED that was on show would basically cost 1.8 million. I don't know if that's dollars, euros, etc. It's a lot, isn't it? So be it true or not, but I'm sure it's incredibly expensive. I mean, it looks it. Samsung sort of went the other way, actually. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it was clever. So they showcased the wall as like a front, the front of their stand with a gap that you walked through. Yes. I think we've got a picture of it. Thanks, Gary. And then it's hard to tell from the pictures, but basically the wall is just flat to the back there. And then in front of that is mirror. I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen. No one can see what I'm doing with my hand. You've got this mirrors around the outside. So it gives the illusion that you've used LED panels sort of above and at the sides as well, but you haven't.
Super clever.
Which is sort of cost saving, I guess. They were showing like you don't have to use it everywhere.
So imagine, okay, LG, I expect a nickel for every one of these that you sell. But imagine that 3D servo setup, but they had mirrored signs on the side. So when it popped out, it illuminated what was next to it, kind of giving you a depth of color.
Mind-blowing. Yeah.
Mind-blowing, right? Because now it's playing with the reflections and stuff like that. A lot of cool things coming out of that. I had to take a double take at the wall. I've seen the wall 100 times. I'm like, what is giving it depth? And when I walked close, it was mirrors. Yeah. Shock. I'm like, look at this. It's like a parlor trick, and it was perfect.
Yeah. It wasn't instantly obvious, was it? You walked and you were like, oh, cool, they've done that, and it goes over your head. And then you go, no, that's not LED. That's a mirror. That's great.
Very
and then
nice,
next
very
to
clever.
it, further along, was their transparent micro LED. Yes. And they weren't the only ones. LG had transparent micro LED. I think we've got a picture of it. There we go, with the train. I actually took that for my son because he likes trains. So it's not actually the best part of the demo, but so that was Samsung's.
Can you correct me on this? It was the transparent micro LED with another screen behind it.
Yeah.
Adding the depth.
Yeah.
Super interesting how that gave it depth of field. And obviously now you're talking about using two different types of technology, but it's clever because now it's, one of the questions that popped up online was about holograms and holographics and where we're at with that. I don't think we're going to be in the hologram world anytime soon, but we are going to play to our strengths of theater. We are going to play with the Pepper's Ghost and sleight of hand, mirrors, second screens. What they showed us with that Samsung transparent screen made it so simply obvious. Here's a football game playing in the background. The overlay was showing the stats. It was showing the betting that was happening. And you saw them in the background. It felt like it was the closest to having a 3D glass experience without glass.
Yeah. And last year, Muxwave did it on it was supposed to be like a storefront shop tunnel. And they'd created more, I think it was transparent LED, I think. I don't think it was OLED panels. And then they had like a cube at the back, a bit like the ARHT and Proto things like that you played in, beaming you over. Similar to that. So it gave that volumetric depth to make you think that it was holographic. Now, Muxwave are a very interesting one. So that was their demonstration last year. This year, they were plastered all over the entrance to the show. So first thing I did, I arrived at the show. I took one look at the transparent screen and went, that looks lovely. Thank goodness we're finally using AV to promote what's inside, whereas we've had printed banners for goodness knows how many years. And then I naturally skipped through the entrance and immediately turned around to have a look at what the back of it looked like. So it was like a film. There was definitely a level of flexibility to it, which I guess is required to be that close against the glass. But the biggest thing for me was it was transparent enough that it didn't bother me from the back inside, which I hadn't really seen that before from micro LED. Absolutely at the rear of an OLED transparent panel, you get almost complete transparency when it's switched off or not showing anything. But with this, with LED, you've almost always been able to see quite a lot of the tech when it's not presenting something. And from the back, that's not ideal. And it then means you've got to put something behind it. Then what's the point in it being transparent because there's something blocking it behind? But no, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people exited the show through that entrance exit and didn't even realize what they were looking at was the rear of the transparent LED wall, because it just wasn't a bother. It was that transparent, you could still see outside. So yeah, kudos to Muxwave. But equally, if we were to be able to get behind the Samsung and LG products that we saw at the show of a similar specification, I think we'd have seen the same, that they could be used in exactly those applications. So yeah, super. Okay, so they were my three, the supercharged A game from the display vendors, which really all ties into that immersive but really experiential AV. It's going to be more than flat. Sustainability and AI. Now, so I've got a bunch of just stuff that I saw that I think needs a shout out.
Yes, absolutely.
Did anyone else head to the back of Hall 2, the UC end, not the Resi end, and see Shokz, the bone conducting headset?
Love those. Their bone conducting little UC headphone is one of the best microphones, not headphones.
And the sound was so clear. I'll be honest, it wouldn't work for me. So I got it. I got the pitch that you can have quite a natural conversation. It's the opposite. We all have noise cancelling. I didn't realize before, but they pointed out that noise cancellation actually makes your ears quite hot, regardless of whether you use comfortable headphones or buds. So I've tested this out actually since I've been home. Yeah, it does. If you leave it on, there's definitely, you feel hotter and more uncomfortable than if you didn't have the noise cancelling on. My issue with these, the sound was perfect. I don't get how it works. It makes no sense to me.
Rounds your little bones.
It's like magic
in your ear.
Yeah. And I guess maybe this is how the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, I don't know how, or if that's just.
They just emit sound out of the back, kind of bone conducting too, because it's in your temporal.
Yeah. So that was great. The microphone output was great, and they were able to show you how it sounded.
I compare that to? I'm going to hit a pop culture reference. It is walking around with the soundtrack to your life.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a movie, the music's in the back, like Saturday Night Live is playing, and I'm walking down the street like Tony Manero eating a slice of pizza.
Yep.
Right? The music's playing. I can hear everything going around, and that's the best. That's the best hear-through technology that I've heard. Obviously, your ears are open, but you get this nice kind of like you can have background music and soundtracking your day. Yeah. Right? So I love it. I think they're a great product.
You haven't shut out anyway. So I get the pitch. I completely get the pitch. I don't think it would work for me because I'm too nosy. And if somebody else starts saying something, I'm like, ooh, what they saying, which would just mean I would not be concentrating on a Teams call ever if I could hear the other stuff in the background. Awesome. But I can see, maybe not for everyone for Zoom and Teams calls, but definitely if you're wandering around the office and you've got someone remote and you would normally be constantly in touch with them, what a great way to have them almost, it just feels like they're next to you.
Yeah.
And they're just chatting alongside you, but you can't see them. It was just really different. I don't think I've seen them at the show before.
I've seen them before at Infocom. They're great. Yeah.
So that was different. I didn't go into the Trinnov demo at the other end, but Trinnov were demonstrating Krix. They had a closed off room on their booth, which had like a home cinema set up in it. The only thing I really need to mention here is I'm sure it was wonderful, and I would have liked to have gone in. I just didn't have a chance. It made the floor shake, and I would recommend anyone that's likely to bother to check where they're going to be next year, because it was affecting like 2 booths along from them in all directions that were sort of just juddering every time they started a demo. But that
shout out to
great.
Dave Williams on that, because I too went down there to go check out Krix and to see what Trinnov was doing. While I was there, can I throw in my around the corner neighbor friend. So I went down into the Resi side. That's where the Trinnov and Krix were. Two things that happened in Resi that I thought was of importance to us in the commercial space. One, Resi-mercial. I hate that term. Hate it. Who coined it? Horrible. Two things that I found in the Resi-mercial space. One, the finest, most amazing acoustic panels made by a company called Artnovian. If you're not familiar with them, high class, top of the line. George does an excellent job. He's the CEO there. Amazing panels, beautiful panels, more so. We're not talking recording studio with egg crates on the wall. We're talking artwork. Yeah. Love what Artnovian's doing there. I barely got 5 minutes to speak to him because the lines to talk to him were crazy. So the other thing that I found in the Resi-mercial space, Sonos is pro. Did you know that?
We sell it.
Wow. Yeah. That was new to me. I met with Luke out there. Luke, who's formerly from Audinate, who I know is now on the pro side for Sonos. I was interested to hear about what that was all about because I never realized. I just thought Sonos was grabbed by somebody at a Best Buy and put in, but they actually have a pro line.
Does really well into the commercial space. So also, there's a lot of music streaming services for business.
Yes.
So it's great. And there's another company in this space called Bluesound who have a commercial product as well for and partner with the streaming services. But Sonos is definitely of choice now rather than having big hefty media players and so on. And it makes sense.
So I'm gonna have to throw this in. It is not AV related. You can maybe strike this from the record, producer Carrie, but I found the best dive bar in Barcelona, and it was great. It was this tiny little bar. I kind of like snuck in and just was like enjoying the fact that it was a dive bar. But the owner, dear Lord, the owner would not play a song through the entire time. So imagine, Bohemian Rhapsody comes along and it's just about as they're about to say Galileo for the second time, cuts it off, throws on like Beach Boys. I'm like, I appreciate it. I feel like I'm at a bad bar with a bad DJ.
Our children do this in the car. Really irritating. You're just getting into a song and they're like, nah, next.
So it is my secret where this place is. I try to give the guy like, can I tip you to let the song run through? Do not stop the AC/DC song. Please let it run through its finish. No. So, but either way, it was a good time. I did not mean to go that, but the whole conversation regarding Sonos and Spotify's and all that sort of stuff, you don't realize how many times these bars are not actually going through the right process to put that sound in. And music pumped into bars is obviously a big chunk of the Resi-mercial conversations, because that's where, God, I hate that term. Yes. Josh Warkop is absolutely hating that term as well. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. It is, it's a made up term, so we'll just go with it. I mean,
it's like architainment, architect. Yeah, it's a lighting term for architectural lighting, which
we need to do a game show with bad terms. Like
bad AV
terms
and stuff that's hard to say. Like, so my worst one is LED flip chip on board. Really difficult to say. Flip chip COB product. So, but you get used to saying it. But I've noticed manufacturers, when they're talking about it, slow down before they reach the point where they go, it's a flip chip, and then they take a breath. Chip on board product, and that's the only way that you don't trip up over yourself.
Amazing.
So we should do a stupid AV terminology show.
If that absolutely does not want me sharing where the dive bar was, I will not share that. Absolutely, I don't want that to reflect badly on me.
So anyway. HOLOPLOT was busy, right?
Yes, they were.
Thanks to the Sphere, I think. So anyone who didn't know who they were last year definitely knows who they are this year. And people, I think, were skipping along to see the sound peeps from the Sphere. It's so clever. It really is so clever. And I think we'll really start to move forward with a lot more of this now. This sort of spatial and beam forming audio. just great, just a great demo. And if you didn't see it, hit YouTube, watch as much as you can. There's quite a lot of content starting to come through now of people's experience on there. MAXHUB were showcasing. I like this when, rather than people keep bringing out own product and so on, you team up with people. QSys do this really well, and they say, you know, this is who made this for us, and so on. MAXHUB have, rather than attack the UC space with own product, they've teamed up with Nureva. Yeah, good partnership, well done. I don't think they're not. I think we do have MAXHUB in Norway, but not group vendors for the for most of the Midwich team, but two, you know, good brands. That looks like a decent partnership. Neat Center. Did anyone else see this? It hangs from the ceiling. Yeah, cool, good idea. The fact that it's not on the table and it hangs from it. Yep, loads of that makes sense. Could have been prettier. That's my only thing. It's so obviously tech, dangling from up high. But yeah, anyone that doesn't have these 360 middle of the room cameras is bringing them out, so there's no surprise there. Media servers, standout winner for me here, and it wasn't who I thought it was going to be. So I headed to see Disguise. I had like 7 cents, and I went to the Analog Way stand, which is normally where you'd find the most impressive stuff. Oh my goodness. On the TVOne stand, they had a green hippo hypnotizer media server demonstration, showcasing 10-bit color. And to do it, they had this transparent frame, and as it moved along, it changed the content of what appeared to be static art pictures behind them, but were of course digital screens. And then it would flip them over and it would make the art start to move. I don't know why I'm dancing. Sort of, and move around and become animated, but with 10-bit color. And how they did it was on like this roller with a piece of string, I think. And as it moved in front of the frame that it was going to affect, that created the contact closure, which in turn triggered the content. It was just really clever, both tech and mechanically super clever. Loved that. And they had a few actually Green Hippo demos. So again, YouTube, not our content. Go check that out. Green Hippo, seriously entering the fixed install space, I think, over the next couple of years. So have I got any others? Oh, MetaGlobe. So this was a bit like Logitech Ghost, but not.
Okay. Good way to put it.
Logitech Ghost gives you this, like, you feel like there's depth behind the person that you're talking to, because they're sort of 3D and they're a bit back, if that makes any sense. I'm not, my words aren't right here. So that's one thing. And I think my view after seeing Ghost this year is it's good for one-on-one. It's a different experience. I don't know if I think it's better yet than just I don't know, but I can see how it definitely does feel more like you're in the room. But it feels quite one-on-one.
It's very prototype car, like car of the future kind of. It's still giving you that kitschiness to it, I guess, would be it.
Yeah, gimmicky.
Gimmicky, but it will. I can see the roots of where it's going to go.
Absolutely. The concept is, absolutely right. So these guys, MetaGlobe, they had like this, it's like a full room or a pod. You went in it, and I think it was projection rear, I think, and then curved, so it warped in front of you. There were multiple people. It was them, but because there was a green screen element to it, they were then put in like a gallery view, and you had one background to give you the impression that you're all in the same room. But they sort of, it was a real camera feed, but they looked a bit avatar-ish. And I was like, you don't look like real people, but I know you are real people. And so I couldn't decide if I liked it or not, but it was clever. Yeah. It's not what we're used to, is it? Because we're used to flat screens and so on. So that was interesting. So did I see anything else in the back streets? There was an interesting product. It's software. I mean, it's designed to be for manufacturers to buy into to make their audio product networkable, but using AVB Milan. So maybe these people are called Joyned, Joyned. It's not something for the integrators to go buy. This is a technology for manufacturers to build into their products. Potentially a Audinate for the pro audio space and live events market, possibly. I don't know if anyone else stumbled across the guy that had the glove that changed. So he was playing a trumpet into a microphone with this hand, and this hand he had a golf glove, actual golf glove, which had a GPIO into like a little compute module that was talking to an app, and then on each finger it had like a movement sensor, and it would change the microphone effects on the sound that he was making depending on how you moved your hand.
I am so glad to know that the Nintendo Power Glove has found a new life. I am so psyched. There's only one person that wears one glove.
I mean,
come on.
It was interesting.
Yes.
I get the concept. The resulting sound that came out of it wasn't enjoyable. That was my problem.
Producer Carrie sends in the note. Was it Thanos? No, it wasn't Thanos. We're still here. We did not.
I think
unscripted, folks. This is how it works. Everybody's
always unscripted. I think that was it. So here's one for you.
I can tell you what I missed. I think you could probably go on that tangent as well. Ready?
Yeah.
Projectors.
Torches.
They're gone. I mean, listen. ISE is what I think ISE does well. It's massive in size. It allows for companies to have massive sized booths. That's been since the days of Amsterdam. For the one time I went out to Amsterdam to see that. That's the place where you can throw some big images.
You need it with projection.
Yeah. You need that for projection.
Epson and Pana did a good job. I didn't actually manage to get to DP this year, so I didn't see that. Christy, Barco put a lot of focus this year on the ClickShare bar.
Yep.
And also, actually, separately to that, their new E3, which sort of has like a cult-like following. Actually.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Everyone like, ooh, take a picture in front of the video wall controller.
Robbie Bruce has really got himself a little following there, and what they do with the E3 is great. I mean, it is very well respected in the show world, in the show community. As a former Barco person, let me be transparent there. Many of the big performing groups that are out there touring and obviously doing their sort of stuff rely on E3. So which was the E2. So awesome.
It's interesting that you say that about projection, right? So the numbers exceeded 2019 this year, 70,000 or so, wasn't it? I think. So that's proper increase.
Yes.
Now there was always this chance that we wouldn't get there. There was always a chance that COVID would teach us that life still happens with or without trade shows. Do we need to be there? Have a lot of people decided, we can send less people because we've all learned over the last 3 or 4 years that you can achieve stuff remotely.
Correct.
Now, I've decided there's a reason that it's survived. There's a reason that the numbers have grown and that trade shows have firmly come back and are important. And that is the large scale audio demos and seriously the large scale video canvas demos. So any of the big LED walls, the transparent micro LED, any of the big projection demos, etc. That's what we come here to see, to tick them all off in one, because you can't talk passionately about products that you haven't seen in the flesh. You feel something.
Yes.
You stand in front of that kinetic LG wall, that you feel something that you can't get from a YouTube video. So that's what we go for. little black boxes, software, etc. You probably could have
Yeah.
people demonstrate them to you remotely, and you could line them all up so that you achieved it all in 2 weeks. But all the while, we are making big display canvases and loud stuff that needs a specific environment to be demonstrated in.
The best
Yeah,
compliment
we're
you
gonna
just
go.
gave is that whoever was next to Trinnov can't be there because it rumbled the floor.
I know.
My job would be done as a company. That I'm with you. This is where passion meets ROI, right?
Yeah.
If you want to show content, there's 2 ways to show it. You can either do display or you can do projection. And if you are a projection company, still projection forward, and you're fighting, you're struggling to maintain. They still have their place. Projectors are not going to go away. But if you can show me a massive, massive projection that will rival an LED wall, you may have a conversation there, because that is still going to be a third of the cost.
Right? Because it's seamless.
Yes.
It's not a case of just, LED has reached, sub 0.5 millimeter pixel pitch. And now if we're a meter back from it, what's real and what's not, I can get right up to the projection screen, especially if it's rear proj. It's just, literally seamless, because it is seamless. It's light. So Graham's, arguing his point in the background here. So stripped back, fully sealed optical engine demo, top 3 attraction on our stand.
Look at him.
We know.
Come on.
But I do agree with you. It felt like there was less front and center presence in the multi-technology hall from projection this year.
5-10 years ago, you walked in and you saw a projector mapping, another projector mapping, a wow factor, LED and projectors working together in unison.
Yeah.
I think that has now maybe that place is at LDI that you see something like that now.
Maybe.
Where you get more of that bigger wow factor, because I saw a lot of the engine companies and a lot of the, appealing to the show crowds, right? Because that's primarily the focus, not permanent installs, right? That's who's going to LDI.
So Tom's just raised the point of probably because they're better shown off in near dark.
Yes.
I suppose that is true. A lot of what gets shown is the highest ANSI units, so that because of the environment that we're putting them into.
But that was part of the pitch, though, Jenny. So look at our projector in broad daylight.
Look what it can do. Yeah. But maybe there's not as much on show, because it's easier to show off other products given the level of lighting and so on that's in there.
Look at you.
I've gone.
You're gone.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay, technical difficulties. All right, well, I'll just keep talking.
And, by the way, going back while you're fixing your technical difficulties, Adrian Cottrell said Neo, he wins the word of the day with the neologisms. I can't even, neologisms? Logisms. I hopefully I pronounced that right. That would be made up terms that we were going through and discussing earlier today with the Resi commercial, for example. I mean, if we don't have a term, we're going to make up for it. I guess that's what the industry is calling for. So thank you for that. Josh Warkop joined. Thank you, sir. Chris Southern dropping in that he loves the Neat Center. And Tom, as always, dropping the knowledge about projectors. Projectors are just no good in direct sunlight. You're absolutely correct.
Agreed. And actually, I was about to argue, well, you could put them in hall 1 because that's dark. However, it's also really smoky from all the dry ice. So that doesn't help, does it? Yeah, you might be on something there, Tom, that they, especially the multi-technology vendors, choose not to show off their projection because they consider what's the point. So no. Actually, I don't use a UC camera. I have a Sony ZV-1 podcasting camera, but I don't think it's my camera. I think it's my laptop has decided to hate my camera. I have hit restart, but I think we are over time anyway.
Yeah,
so
of course we are, because we're over the 1 hour mark. And that
I was like this. Last time I proved that we're proper live by having to let my dog in because he was making so much noise. he's out on a scheduled walk this afternoon for exactly that reason.
I hope that producer Carrie puts like your like a simulated image in your space for when you go dark. Like just a random image of you like at ISE or something doing like, look at this. Right. That'd be awesome. So Carrie, you got the idea. Drop it in there. Make it fun for the people. Available for expensive consultancy anytime. Tom, the world's most expensive consultant. Yes, we know.
Tom, I'll reach out for a new camera shortly.
Awesome.
So I
real
think
quick.
we had one final announcement
Absolutely.
to make. We made an announcement at the show about Midwich Ignite.
Yeah.
Just to say that they have their own website, midwichignite.com, original. So this is the venture capitalist arm of the Midwich Group. Basically, we're quite interested in startups and ideas that are out there. And if we can help them financially and with support and expertise, I hope we would like to do that. So if you stumble across someone who's looking for a sort of AV Dragon's Den type investor, hit us up. We may be able to help them. Reach out to either me directly, I'm working quite closely with that team, or Alex and Will at midwichignite.com.
I got four calls since that happened. So we need to chat after the show. Big shout out to AV Buzz Network for pointing out that Jenny's camera is buffering. AV Buzz Network actually recently just put out some Twitter stats. There you are. You're back.
Ta-da!
AV Buzz Network actually went ahead and dropped some stats.
I turned it off and on again.
That's, you were under protest. It was a mini protest.
Techie.
Yes. So we thank the AV Buzz Network for providing some Twitter stats that were out there regarding ISE, the hashtag ISE. If you haven't checked it out, check out their Twitter. That's where some of that stuff is. A lot of informative stuff. Thank you so much, guys. Josh Warkop, again, more pro sound and lighting next year. I think that is where a lot of that's our future. A lot of that is going to come back, where that was a big part of what AV was. Kind of disappeared with the whole UC conversations and now the IT conversations. I think there's a home for this. I think it's going to balance out. You're right. And I love the directional audio. You made a comment earlier. That's what I told you going into the show, that was going to be a bigger focus. And I still believe that whole directional audio and sound and all the psychoacoustics are going to come into play, because that's what we can do really, really well. And that 100%. Your IT folks have a hard time with. Josh, I'd love to bust his chops because he was on my show and I asked him the whole AV versus IT conversation. And I still don't have a definitive answer, but his answer was better than anyone that I could give. So you're going to have to stay and listen to what comes out of an AV in the AM podcast that I recorded at AV on Air. Really quick, I want to thank everybody at the Midwich Group. I was a visitor at the booth. They are part of the team. I got to hang with the Midwich Group people, find folks like Jenny and Kerry and producer Kerry, stuff like that. I appreciate that. But we also got to meet some of our brethren that I've never met before from SFM, and people from the farm that are newly acquired as well. Get to hang out with Kelly Perkins, longtime friend, 15 plus years that I've known Kelly. She's now part of the team.
And Save AV advocate.
And a Save AV advocate, which we know that is a big thing on your bucket list to get more sustainability. And Kelly is pretty much one of the bigger, voices in that space. So a lot of good things coming in the future for that. My team had a great show for us as Starin, as visitors going to a foreign country and dealing with a lot of the different companies. There are a lot of integrators there. There were a lot of US consultants there. For folks that are not aware of what's happening, or the numbers are just not showing you the details. Yeah. A lot of integrators were there, big and small, not just the big, SEN top 10s. There were a lot of integrators there from a lot of different countries, and a lot of them from the US. Consultants came in force. This year with 73, almost 74,000 folks. I felt that this was the definitive show that AV, or that people are back, right? Will this carry momentum into an InfoComm? I think maybe so. That people seeing 73,000 folks show up at one conference will say, you know what?
I'm going to go to the next
another one. This is the show I go back 100%. To, because it wasn't that last year. We didn't have those numbers, any kind of the numbers like that, but it was a good return show last year at InfoComm. I think
also, ISE being so big, do people worry that they missed stuff? So they now head to InfoComm where maybe they wouldn't have done before to catch up on anything that they missed at ISE.
Yeah, and there was a lot of back and forth. Some of the things that I got asked is, "Hey, man, all I see online is selfies." It's not my job to report, man. I spent more time either at the booth, our booth, working with the AV on Air Studios, or I was in closed door meetings because I was in closed door meetings that I can't talk about in booths. I've never been to more closed door meetings than I ever had. This year was my wow, I felt important. Like, you got to come to this meeting, and it's not in our booth. You got to come upstairs to like guard door thing. And I'm like, that's new and interesting. I've never been to that before. So that was an interesting take for me. Barcelona remains Barcelona. Still very sketchy for me. Anxiety, doing a lot of different things, working through that town. There's work to be done in terms of, I'm just going to leave a very general comment. There's work to be done on the safety and the transport and all that sort of stuff. These cab rides are massive. The lines are huge. No different than what you get at Infocom, and getting on that metro is equally as packed. So there's got to be some better stuff. And that's our hope that the folks and the organizers from ISE do a little bit better on that, because the hotels are so far away.
Yeah.
There's not many in the walking distance. So I wanted to put that out there and address that as well. Anyway, Jenny, closing remarks before we shut this down with 11 minutes over.
Yeah. 14.
14.
14 minutes over.
I don't have my glasses on. I can't see. Sorry.
Yeah. All together, great show. Headlines were as expected. AI, sustainability, and massive displays, and that spatial audio, immersive video. We'll call it experiential, metaverse-esque. So exactly what we expected to see, but it still did something. It still hit you inside to see it. It leaves everyone really pumped up, and I feel like I've just been inundated with positivity off the back of the show. So for me, it's a job well done from ISE. Thanks very much. Yes. We saw some interesting stuff. I think producer Kerry's going to hate us after this show because we've shouted out so many products, which means she has to put more labeled chapters in, and we've run over. But hopefully it was useful to people. And, as always, we're the unsponsored. We talk about anything, whether we sell it or not. We hope that comes across. None of this is paid for advertising. We're probably going to get in trouble for talking about people that we don't know. But this was our catch-up chat, and it's really nice that you could join us.
You're a fly on the wall.
Comments. Yeah.
So I will bring it to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Midwich Live. Catch us coming up. We're heading down to Infocom in June. That's our big Midwich conversation. But prior to that, we have a bunch of little shows that we're going to be at, including NAB, including Jenny. I'm sure there's European shows that you're probably going to hit up. As far as regional shows go, do not skip on the regional shows. Support your manufacturers, support your vendors, and support your integrators. If they're going to put together something for you guys, go ahead and take a look at that. That is exactly what we do as a community, is support each other. So take a look there if you were unable to see stuff at ISE. And if not, reach out to us. We could probably point you in the right direction of who's doing what and where, and maybe we can get you some, passes into places and do what we can. That's what we're here for. We will see you both. You'll see me and Jenny in person in Vegas this year for Infocom. My next trip is NAB, so you'll see me there, if not some other stuff now with higher ed focused local regional stuff that I'm going to be working on. So thank you so much. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Tom Baker, Harold, and Adrian for the comments. Tom Milner, if at everybody who's been on the line, Patty, and oh my God, I feel like I'm trying to wrap up a radio show. I can't get all the shout outs.
We need an outro. We're going to work on an outro.
That is the goal. Thank you all very much. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Midwich Live.